don't. I'll praise 'cause I know you're still in control. My praise is a weapon. It's more than a sound. My praise is the shout that brings Jericho down. Oh, as long as I'm breathing, I've got a reason to praise the Lord, oh my soul. Praise the Lord, oh my soul. Oh, I won't be quiet, my God is alive. How could I keep it inside? Praise the Lord, oh my soul. Give him praise. Praise 'cause you're sovereign, praise 'cause you reign, praise 'cause you rose and defeated the grave. I'll praise 'cause you're faithful, praise 'cause you're true, praise 'cause there's nobody greater than you. I'll praise 'cause you're sovereign, praise 'cause you reign, praise 'cause you rose and defeated the grave. I'll praise 'cause you're faithful and praise 'cause you're true, praise 'cause there's nobody greater than you. Praise the Lord, oh my soul. We give you praise. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter the time. Doesn't matter the day. Doesn't matter the night. Doesn't matter the trial. There's always a reason to praise you. Always a reason to praise you. You are always worthy, Lord. That we would remember the power of the praise, Lord, the power of us speaking out your name and speaking out your truth. That would bring the walls down. Because your name is above every other name. You're so worthy, Lord, you're so worthy. 'Cause there is none like you. There is none like you. No one before you and no one after. There will never be another like you. shaken. We will not be moved. You are our cornerstone. We will not be shaken. We will not be moved. You are our cornerstone, Jesus. We will not be shaken. We will not be moved. You are our cornerstone. We will not be shaken. We will not be moved. You are our cornerstone. I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be, we will not be shaken. We will not be It was my cross you bore, so I could live in the freedom you died for. And now my life is yours, and I will sing of your goodness forevermore. Worthy is your name, Jesus. You deserve the praise. deserve all the praise. Worthy is your name. Worthy is your name. Jesus, you deserve the praise. Worthy is your name.
Jesus, you're worthy. You deserve all the praise. There is no one like you. There is none even beside you. You're not a little bit better. You're not just a better choice. You are the best thing. You are the best one. As we were singing, shout unto God with a voice of triumph, and we were singing, we lift your name up. It's not just our mouths saying Jesus. That's not what we're doing. David said, come and magnify the Lord with me. What was he saying? He's saying, come and make God bigger than everything else. Come on, whatever it is, he's bigger. That's not the question. The question isn't, is God bigger than my problem? Is God bigger than my stress? Is God bigger than my fear? Is he bigger than my addiction? Is he bigger than my anxiety? Is he bigger than my insecurity? Is he bigger than my jealousy? Is he bigger than anything? That's not the question. He's bigger. The question is, what am I magnifying in my life? What is the biggest thing in my life? What am I choosing to lift and place in that highest place of my life? See, all those things can be true about him, but not true for you unless you're choosing intentionally to say, God, I see this, but I see you. And I see this in the light of you. Not because I see this, I can't see you. I'm not taking my eyes off of this just to not see this. You can do that for a little while. You can ignore it. You can run away from it. You can hide from it. You can do all of those things. You can turn your back on it. But if you're not turning to someone, to something, and letting that take the place of supremacy, of being the biggest part, the biggest thing, being who you're looking to and the one that you're giving yourself to, it'll only be a matter of time before you start to look again at that thing. See, this was the difference between Moses and the children of Israel. It was the difference between Joshua and Caleb and the children of Israel. It said that Joshua and Caleb were men of a different spirit. The difference between them and the Israelites is the Israelites were running from Egypt. They were running from slavery. They were running from bondage. They were running from torture. They were running from being abused. They were running from all of those things. But running from Egypt only could take them so far into the wilderness before eventually they began to look back and go, you know, it wasn't so bad back there. Because there was nothing in front of them that they saw that was greater than what was behind them. But Moses kept talking about the promised land. Joshua and Caleb, all they were looking to was, if God promised something better for me, then I don't want anything to do with what's behind me. Why would I want to go back there when God's brought me here and called me there? And it's the reason why they went into the same land as the other 10, and they saw the same things as the other 10. But yet when they came back, all they could talk about was how good and faithful and true the promises of God were. Whereas the children of Israel were just running away from Egypt. You weren't called to run from your problems. You were called to run to the Father. And running to the Father will cause you to run from your problem. But here's the thing. The motivation for my life and my pursuit is not trying to get away from something. Because the farther I get away, the less I remember how bad it was. Think about it. The children of Israel came to a place where they're like, it was better for us in Egypt. Why? Because they were just running away from Egypt. There was nothing they were running towards. They had no vision, and without vision, people perish. Without sight, without seeing, without having our attention and our affection fixed on something greater, all we will do is run from what was. But the problem is that eventually you will come to a place in your life where what was behind you is no longer scaring you to run like you were when you first left. And if you're not running to Him, towards Him, in Him, eventually you'll find yourself wanting to go back. And you'll put yourself back into slavery you were freed from. And you'll be a slave of your own choosing. See, what people did or said or what happened, that wasn't your choosing. But how you respond to it, that's your choice. No one can make it for you. You can either fix eyes and lock eyes on Him and say, you know what? This world has nothing for me. I could go back, but I don't want to. There's no life there. Come on, I'm just telling you, get a bigger vision of Jesus. Magnify the Lord. Make Him bigger. Lift Him up. Exalt Him. It doesn't change God. His size doesn't grow and shrink based on our understanding and perception of Him. What it changes is us. We're the ones that change. We're the ones whose perspective is different. We're the ones that begin to see things in a different light. We're transformed as our mind is renewed, as we see Him for who He is. Come on, if you've been running from Egypt, don't stop running, but get a new reason. Get a new vision. Don't let having to look back over your shoulder and remember how bad it was be what compels you forward. Be looking forward and seeing how good He is, what draws you forward, because that will never change. In fact, the more you run to Him, the better He is to you. He doesn't change. I'm not saying the better He gets. I'm saying the more you understand how good He is in your mind, He begins to get better and better and better and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like the mountain. As you're driving at it, the mountain looks like it's getting bigger and bigger. The mountain didn't change. It was always the same. It was you that was getting closer and closer that caused it to look bigger and bigger. And all of a sudden, things that you could see one time that were beyond the mountain or that were in different places, you can't even see them anymore because you're so close to the mountain. When you look, all you see is this gigantic mountain in front of you. And it's not the mountain that changed. It was the direction that you were going. Come on, I'm just telling you, He is a strong tower. He is a fortress. He is a refuge. He is the mountain of safety for those that trust in Him. You have to choose that. You have to actually think about what you're thinking about. You have to actually think about what you're dwelling on, what you're meditating on, what voices you're listening to. Why do I do the things that I do? Because here's the thing, truthfully, you could be doing things that aren't bad, but it's the why behind my life that matters. It's the why that will sustain me. It's the why behind my life that will keep me pursuing Him. If He's the why, then there's no what that can change anything. And I won't be disappointed. I won't be discouraged. David, in that same verse, it's Psalm 34. I'm just going to read it real quick and then we'll get into the message. He said this, I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. You realize that when His praise is in your mouth, it's hard for things that aren't supposed to be there to be there. Well, how do you get His praise to be always in your mouth? Is it through just constantly saying, I'm just going to sing worship songs, I'm just going to sing worship songs? Or is it because you've set your heart on Him, and so the direction and affection of your heart controls what comes out of your mouth? Because out of the abundance of your heart, your mouth speaks. Listen to what's coming out of your mouth continually, because it's a great indicator of what's inside of your heart and what you've been putting in. David says, I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continue to be in my mouth. My soul will make its boast in the Lord. The humble will hear it and rejoice. You realize that when someone's boasting in the Lord, the prideful hear it and get angry? David said, when I'm rejoicing and boasting in the Lord, those with humility will hear it and rejoice. Why? Because those who are walking in humility, when they hear someone boasting in what the Lord has done, they get encouraged by it. They take it as testimony. It excites them. They don't start looking for reasons. Well, why does he do that for him? What does he think he's so great? Da-da-da-da-da. I know who he is. I know what he did. They don't look for reasons to try to tear down because it doesn't poke insecurity inside of them. Why? Because their heart is boasting in the Lord as well. And then he says this. He says, oh, magnify the Lord with me and let us exalt his name together. He's saying, come on, guys. Make his name bigger. Let's do it together. Like, that's one of the amazing things about gathering together like this. It's like, man, corporately together, we're making his name the biggest thing that we're focused on. And it's like, man, now our eyes are fixed on something bigger. And it's like, all of a sudden you realize I wasn't looking at that thing. But not because I wasn't looking at that thing. It was because I was looking at him. And I can't do both. And I love this part right here, and I really will get to the message. He said, I sought the Lord, and he answered me and delivered me from all my fears. They looked to him and were radiant, and their faces will never be ashamed. Shame comes from looking down. Think about it. When your child did something they were ashamed of, where were they looking? When you're ashamed, you don't want to stand up with your shoulders back and look people in the eye. Why? You're always looking down. Shame causes you to look down, but looking down can also cause shame. Because you're looking at everything that you see that's wrong, rather than looking up and seeing the one who said, I came to make all things right. That's why David's always saying, lift up your head, lift up your eyes. Why? Quit looking down. You've been looking down long enough. How's that working for you? You've inspected the problem for years. It's still a problem. You just know more about the problem. You've been looking down at the problem your whole life. Guess what? There were temporary times where you lifted your eyes up and said, I'm not going to look at the problem, I'm not going to look at the problem, I'm not going to look at the problem. You were still problem focused the whole time. Everything that you were doing was in response to the problem. Even when you weren't looking at the problem, it was because you didn't want to look at the problem, so the problem was what was dictating your life. Instead, it's like, no, it's not, I don't want to look at the problem, I don't want to look at the problem. It's like, no, I want to see the answer. And in my quest and in my striving to see the answer and to focus on the answer, all that not looking at the problem stuff is dealt with in the process. But it's not because I'm not trying to see that, it's because I see him. Now my life's not being dictated in response to the problem, it's being lived in response to the answer. It might seem subtle, but I promise you it is night and day different. When my life is lived in response to who he says that I am versus who I don't want to be, there's a big difference. I'll prove it to you. Open your Bibles, Genesis chapter 32. Let's go. You guys doing good this morning? Oh man, you're doing better than you know. You're doing better than you understand. I promise you, what's the alternative? Yeah, I mean, he woke you up for another day. That means he still has a plan and a purpose for your life. There's a bunch of people in this world that didn't wake up today. You're one of the lucky ones that did. You're one of the ones that he said, I still have a plan for you. I still have a purpose for you. I'm not finished with you. I still see who you're meant to become, and I am committed, and I will be faithful because I started that work, and I'm going to complete that work. Come on, that should give us, like, every morning that you open your eyes and you're alive, instantly there should be this, like, infusion of hope and joy into you of, like, you woke me up today, God. You didn't have to, but you chose to. That means you love me, you care for me, you're concerned for me, your attention is on me, you have plans for me, and you have desires for my life, and you are with me, and God, I'm going to live today. Looking at you, thinking about you. Come on, you start your day that way, and all of a sudden you go out and happen to your day rather than your day happening to you. Now you're living in response to truth because you set your eyes on him to begin with. The author and the finisher. God, you started this book, and you didn't say, I'll start the book, now you write the rest of it, and I'll come in and finish up at the end. No, he said, listen, I started the story, I'm going to write the story, and I'm going to finish the story. I don't need you to figure it out. I need you to follow me. Come on, that takes the burden off. It's like, all right, whew, I can breathe now because I'm not trying to do this on my own. I don't have the pressure of trying to make me. Because he said if I follow him, he'd make me. I don't even know what I'm supposed to be yet. I just know it looks like him. What exactly that looks like and where my life's going to go and what I'm going to do, I don't know. And you know what's beautiful about that? If I don't know everything about my future, that means I don't have the responsibility of making my future happen. All I have the responsibility for is following him today and trusting him with tomorrow and trusting him with yesterday as well. That means what? It's gone. It's beautiful because it's like, man, anything good just propels me in, but anything that wasn't, I'm thankful the blood of Jesus cleanses, covers, heals, restores, redeems. It's good to be back in the warm South. I was in New Hampshire last week. Pastor David brought an awesome word last week. He really did. I listened to it and I was like, man, that guy's good. Just thankful for the word of God going forth in power, no matter which vessel's up here. And but I was up in New Hampshire. The church up there is doing amazing. It's growing like a weed. It really is. I look out and I'm like, I don't even know half the people. And it's not been that long since I was here. And there's more and more people coming, and their lives are being transformed by the gospel, and they're being set free, and they're getting born again and baptized into Christ and walking in newness of life. And it's really awesome. It's really amazing to see. And you know, the truth of the matter is every bit of what's happening there, you played a part in that. Every single person that's part of this church, because what God did here and what God is doing here was the reason that we went there, and he's doing there what he did here, and it's because of everybody's faithfulness to be who God's called them to be. And so it was cold up there. The wind chill was like -6 or something, and even despite that, we cut a hole in the ice and plunged in. Yeah, it froze the chainsaw up. Had to use an axe. It was amazing. There's something about it. I know. I don't believe in that. Well, whatever. Do your thing. I won't come to your house and get mad at you. But no, it was amazing. Just being there and experiencing what God's doing and getting to pour gas on the fire. If you have your Bibles, open to Genesis 32. I actually talked about a similar message to this from the same place last week in Ringe, but I had two different messages I was going back and forth on as I was this whole week. Just kind of, I've got two in my phone that I've been working on. And last night I was like, man, I just keep getting this feeling that I'm supposed to preach a similar message that I preached last weekend, because I feel like it's something that's needed to be heard here as much as it was needed there. And so once I settled that, then it was peace, and I'm like, okay, Lord. So Genesis chapter 32, verse 22 is where we're going to start reading. This is talking about Jacob. And, you know, to give you a little backstory of how we get to this point, you know, Jacob was the one who was born as a twin, and there was a war in his mother's womb between him and his brother. He was born in strife. Like literally before he even came out of the womb, he was jockeying for position and trying to get ahead in his own strength. And his older brother was born first, but he came out holding on to his heel. He literally was born grabbing on and holding on and trying to attain something by his own strength. That's how he was brought into the world. And his mother saw it, and she named him after it. And I said this last week. I'm like, man, just be careful what you call your kids, because they may one day start living up to it. One way or the other. And his mom names him Jacob, the heel grabber, the supplanter, the deceiver. And Jacob then wants what should rightfully be his brother's, because in his mind, the greatest thing that he could have and the thing that's worth giving everything that he has for is to have the firstborn son's blessing. And so there's a day when he's making soup, and his brother is absolutely exhausted from hunting and not getting anything. his brother's to the point of like, I'm so weak, I can't move, I need food or I'm going to die. And see, we read these stories sometimes and it's like, we think he's like, hey, Jacob, give me some soup. And Jacob's like, well, I'll trade you for the birthright. Okay, cool. No, he's going to die. And he asks Jacob for food so that he doesn't get so weak that he can't move and lay there and die. And Jacob says, I'll withhold the thing that would allow you to live unless you give me what I want. That's devious. I will let you die if you don't give me the thing that I want. When you read these stories, realize, like, these weren't cute Bible flannelgram stories. These were real things happening to real people in real time. And he comes to his brother, his flesh and blood, his twin. And his brother says, I'm dying, I'm famished, I'm weak, I need something to eat. Jacob, will you give me some of your food? And Jacob says, oh, I have what you need, but you're not going to get it. You're going to lay there and die, and I'll let you die unless you give me what I want. Give me your blessing. And so Esau does the only thing he thinks he can, and which is, okay, I mean, what good is a blessing if it dies with me today? If I never get to the point of being blessed by my father, what good would it be? And so he says, okay. And Jacob gives him the soup. And now Esau hates Jacob. And Esau is another one reinforcing it because he says, rightly did they name him Jacob. What's he saying? You know what? He is who they said he is. And it's not enough for him to deceive his brother and to manipulate his brother. Now he has to deceive his father into giving him the blessing. And his father's blind, and he knows that Esau's a hairy man and Jacob is a smooth man. And so his mother comes up with an idea to help him. And here's the thing, like, just realize this. No matter what you want to do in life, no matter how devious, no matter how evil it is, there will always be someone who's happy to help you do it. Every voice of advice in your life is not the voice of God. And when it aligns with what you want, make sure that it's not what you want that is making it sound like God. Make sure that it's God that makes it sound like God. Because she comes to him and says, oh, here's what we can do. We'll just put some goat skin on you. And when you go in, your father will feel your arms. He'll realize that you're Esau. And then you'll get the blessing, Jacob. Then you'll get the thing that you want. You've been conniving and manipulating your whole life. You were born this way. This is how you need to get what you want. Come on, this has served you well so far. Just do this. Just deceive your father. Just connive. Just disguise. Just become whoever you need to become so that when he puts his hand out, he feels that you're Esau and he'll give you the blessing. And then, Jacob, you'll have what you've wanted since the womb. The thing that's been missing. The thing that'll make you complete. The thing that'll make you satisfied. The thing that will make you blessed. The thing that will bring you joy. The thing that will bring you safety and security and comfort. That thing that you've always wanted, Jacob. It's right here within your grasp, and all you have to do is just be who you've always been. One more time. So he goes in, his father blesses him. And now he's got a problem because his brother hates him and wants to kill him, so he can't live there. And so he flees to another land and he meets a man. And it's funny, when you live a certain way, you always run into people that live the way that you do. And sometimes they're better at your game than you are. Because he runs into a man named Laban. And Laban sees that Jacob really wants to marry his daughter. But Laban thinks, I've got another daughter. Nobody really wants to marry her. Here's my chance. And he tricks Jacob into being with his daughter, but not the daughter he wants. And Jacob discovers he's been tricked, and Laban says, oh, well, if you want her, I'm going to need 7 years of your life. And Jacob does it. But then Jacob, being Jacob, makes a deal with his father-in-law, and you can read the whole story, but he puts this thing up where when the goats that are a certain strength mate, they produce a certain color that Jacob gets, and when the weaker goats mate, it's not there, they don't see it, and they produce a lower strength. And so he splits the flocks with his father-in-law, but he has all the best flock. His father-in-law has all the lame and weak and defective flocks. And Laban realizes he's been duped, and there's just this tension between them, and they both want to harm each other. And so they make this covenant with rocks. This is like one of the weirdest covenants in the Bible. They make a covenant with rocks, and this is their promise to each other. Laban stands on this side of the rocks and says, Jacob, I won't come past these rocks to harm you. And Jacob stands on this side of the rocks and says, Laban, I won't come past these rocks to harm you. This is the best that they can do is if I stay on remember when you were traveling and you had the line in the seat and it was like, you stay on your side and I'll stay on my side, and if an inch of your body comes on my side, I'm going to punch it. No, just us that grew up in big families, I guess. This is the covenant they make with each other is basically, I'll stay over here and I won't harm you as long as you stay over there and you don't harm me. And I won't come past here, you don't come past there. And Jacob leaves and he's walking away, and now he can't go back there because Laban, if he goes on the other side of the rocks, can harm him. But he can't go back home because he's got reports that his brother Esau is coming and he's got 400 men with him. This is not 400 like, let's throw a party for Jacob men. These are 400 men who are loyal to Esau that are coming for battle. And he's caught between where he had to flee from and where he had to flee from, and he has nowhere to flee anymore. And so he does what Jacob does. He starts sending out these gifts to Esau. 3 different times he sends cattle and livestock, trying to bribe, trying to connive, trying to scheme, trying to buy his way out of what he got himself into. And so he starts sending out these different parties with servants and livestock, trying to appease Esau. And now he's finally down to just his family with him, his 2 wives, his 2 maids, his 11 children. And he comes to where we're going to pick up here. And it says, now he arose that same night and took his 2 wives and his 2 maids and his 11 children and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. He took them and sent them across the stream, and he sent across whatever he had. Then Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until daybreak. When he saw that he had not prevailed against him, he touched the socket of his thigh, so that the socket of Jacob's thigh was dislocated while he wrestled with him. Then he said, let me go, for the dawn is breaking. But he, Jacob, said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. So he turned to him. What is your name? And he said, Jacob. He said, your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with men and have prevailed. Then Jacob asked him and said, please tell me your name. But he said, why is it that you ask my name? And he blessed him there. So Jacob named the place Peniel, for he said, I have seen God face to face, yet my life has been preserved. Now the sun rose upon him as he crossed over Penuel, and he was limping on his thigh. Therefore to this day the sons of Israel do not eat the sinew of the hip, which is on the socket of the thigh, because he touched the socket of Jacob's thigh and the sinew of the hip. God, thank you for your word. I thank you for what's already come forth and what's about to, that it would be from you, that you would anoint it, Father, that it would land in our hearts and that it would put down roots, that it would produce fruit in our lives, that we would be transformed by your word, that the way that we think, God, would align with the way that you think. And as we think changes, God, our lives change, our actions change, and we become the transformed person. We become transformed into your image. In Jesus' name. So Jacob now is finally alone, and he has sent his family off, and he comes to this river at a place called Jabbok, which means empty, poured out. So here you have this picture of this man, and I want you to picture this because I think it matters. I don't think the names in the Bible are there just coincidentally. I don't think any of the details are coincidental. You have this man, Jacob, this deceiver, this supplanter, this heel grabber, and he comes to this place where he's all alone in a place that's called empty. And it's there that God comes. And he starts to wrestle with him. And they wrestle all night long. And God, it says, you realize this man is God. Obviously, it's a form of God taking the form of a man. It's not a mortal man that he's arguing with. Jacob says, I've seen God face to face. And so this man, it says he touches Jacob's thigh and dislocates it. That sounds great. Like, one of the definitions of that word is to strike with extreme force or violence. And Jacob is now hurting. His hip is dislocated. It's out of socket. and he's in pain, yet he still won't let go. And so they wrestle all night, and then the morning comes, and God says something really interesting to him. He says, let me go, for it's daybreak. And I read that, and I was thinking, like Cinderella, I got to get home before midnight, or, like I've got other God things to do. Like God's omniscient. He's everywhere. He's omnipresent. He's everywhere at once. It's not like he needed to leave that place so that he could go do God things over here. And I started praying about that and asking the Lord, why did you say, let me go, for it's daybreak? And I felt like the Lord showed me. He said, because I was giving Jacob an opportunity to be who Jacob had always been. Because Jacob always ran when it got painful, when it got hard. He always took the easy way out. He always did things in his own strength and in his own flesh. And I was giving him one more opportunity. Jacob, are you going to do what you've always done? Are you going to be who you've always been? When it gets hard, when you can't win, when you can't prevail, when you're in pain, are you going to let go of me, and are you going to leave, Jacob? Because if you want to, you can leave here the same way you came, with just a little bit more pain. But Jacob, I think for the first time in his life, realizes something. I've got a hold of the one, and he's got a hold of me, and I can't leave here the way that I came. See, because Jacob instinctively knows everything that I've got in my life as Jacob, as the heel grabber, as one who grabs onto flesh for blessing, as one who does things in his own strength, as one who schemes and connives and deceives and plots. All that's gotten me is standing here alone and empty with nowhere to go, repeating the same pattern that my life has repeated over and over and over again. And this time, if a man's blessing could have changed me, if the flesh could have changed me, if the natural could have changed me, I would have already been changed. Because I've got the highest blessing that a man on earth could get. I have the firstborn son blessing from the firstborn son of Abraham. And yet here I am, alone in an empty place, in pain. And he says, no, not this time, God. Not this time. I'm not letting go. I'm not leaving here. I can't just limp away from another encounter with you the same as I came. I'm not leaving, and I'm not letting go until you bless me. Because me blessing me, a man blessing me, has got me where I am. And it's where I've been my whole life. Every single day of my life, I've been striving and trying to get with my own strength, in my own power, through the work of my flesh, this thing that I want, this peace, this blessing. And here I am again. And I ripped off my brother, and I ripped off my father-in-law, and I lied to my father, and I deceived everyone along the way. And every time I did that, it got me the thing that I thought I wanted, but all it made me was more miserable. And here I am, alone and broken. But it's you. And I'm holding on to you. And you're holding on to me. And if you're telling me that I can choose to be let go of and just walk away the same, not this time. I'm not letting go until you bless me. And so God asks him an interesting question. He says, what's your name? How many of you have learned by now, when God asks you a question, he doesn't need your revelation? Adam, where are you? It's not because Adam was the hide-and-seek champion of the world. It's because he wanted Adam to hear the question and Adam to think about the answer and for what to come out of Adam's mouth to be truth, because he's hiding behind a lie. I heard you coming and I was afraid, so I hid. What's he trying to do? He's trying to get Adam to realize what you've done has caused you to become afraid, ashamed, and want to hide. When he says, what's your name? It's not because he's like, I came here to bless a Jacob. What, anyone here Jacob? Does letter J mean anything to you? Jake, help me out here. No. He knows exactly who Jacob is. But more than that, he knows who Jacob is meant to become. But he needs Jacob to be honest about who he is, so that Jacob can become who Jacob's meant to become. So he says, what's your name? And for the first time, according to biblical scholars, in about 20 years, Jacob introduces himself not as the son of Isaac, not as the grandson of Abraham, not as the kinfolk. This is how he was introduced to his wife, his wife's family. He says, you know me. These are who my parents are. We're kin. We're family. He doesn't talk about who he is. He doesn't say, I'm this. He says, I'm their son. I am what they named me. He doesn't answer and say, you know me. Remember, I'm the one you gave the dreams to. Remember the angels going up and down on the ladder and named the place Bethel. Surely God was in this place and I didn't know it. I'm the one that I'm the grandson of promise. I have Abraham as a granddad. He doesn't say any of that stuff. He doesn't blame. He doesn't say, I'm running from my brother Esau. I have to get away from Laban. He doesn't blame anyone or anything else for why he is where he is or who he is. He finally, for the first time in a long time, hears God and says, I'm Jacob. I'm the deceiver. I'm the heel grabber. I'm the one who does things in my own strength, who lives by my own power, and who has my whole life thought that by me doing in my own wisdom what only you could do, God, I would get what I want. But I'm just me. My mom named me that, but I chose to become it. I didn't choose my name, but I made every choice that made me become what other people said I was. I didn't choose to be deceived by Laban, but I chose to deceive him in return. And I'm just being honest. I'm Jacob. And God says, okay, I can work with that. Because now that you know, I can tell you what I know. Now that you're honest about who you are, I can tell you who you really are. Yeah. See, if you're just, well, yeah, I sometimes, and you have reasons and excuses, and so many of us have them. Well, I wouldn't be this way if they. Well, you don't know what they did, or you don't know what I had to. You know what? I don't know all of that, but I do know this. The reasons that you're giving yourself to choose something other than him are not valid when the one who created you is standing in front of you, holding on to you. And so this is how God blesses him. He doesn't say, okay, Jacob, I'll give you another wife. I'll finally give you the wife that you really need to be happy. Or Jacob, I'll give you more cattle. I'll finally give you enough material possessions where you'll be content. I'll give you land, Jacob, so that you have somewhere to go. So that you don't have to worry about Esau, and you don't have to worry about Laban. Or he doesn't say, I'll change Esau's heart towards you, and I'll change Laban's heart towards you. I'll clean up all your circumstances, Jacob. No, he doesn't say any of that stuff. He says, Jacob, I'll bless you. And here's the blessing you're going to get from me. Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel. For you have striven with God and with men and have prevailed. That word Israel, you can look up what does the name Israel mean. But if you actually look in the original language, it's made up of two ancient words. That means he shall rule as God. And when you break down the two words, it actually means one who prevailed, through the power of God. And this is what he says to Jacob. He says, no longer will you be the one who has what you have in your own strength, by your own flesh, by your own deceit, by your own conniving, by your own scheming, by your own planning, by your own grabbing. No, Jacob, you will not be that one anymore. You will be the one who will say, I am one who has what I have because of the power of God. And every time you introduce yourself to someone, you'll no longer be telling them, I'm the deceiver, I'm the supplanter, I'm the heel grabber. You'll be telling them, I'm one whose life is what it is and has what it has because of the power of God. And here's the thing. How many of you guys understand that the first time he told someone that, there were probably a lot of people who knew him as Jacob, experienced him as Jacob, saw him as Jacob, had been done wrong by him as Jacob, who probably had a hard time believing that he wasn't Jacob still. But here's the truth. What they thought didn't matter. It's, do I believe that I'm Israel? Because long before you have to convince anybody else of who you are, you have to actually believe that you are who he says that you are. It's not, does everybody else believe it? Time will take care of all that. The fruit of your life will speak so loud that they'll forget the fruit of your life before. I promise you. Some will take longer than others. It's okay. What they believe doesn't matter. What you believe does. See, it's one thing for Jacob to hear the stories about who God was. He knew God about as well as a man could know God. He had dreams and visions. He was born. He's the child of promise. He's going to be the one whom the legacy of Jesus comes through. The blessing of Israel comes through. He is the seed of the seed. He is the seed of Abraham, the one who God made the covenant with. He's the one who God inserts his name into and puts his name into his name. Like it's not like he didn't know who God was. It's just that he had probably heard all of this stuff before, but he never actually believed it for himself. See, you can come to church and hear all kinds of truth. It's not just hearing it that changes you, it's you believing it that changes you. It wasn't just God saying your name is going to be Israel, it was him believing, I am Israel. I'm not Jacob anymore, I'm Israel now. And he believes God. And all of a sudden, a lifetime of lies are replaced by one truth. Thousands of lies. What other people said, what other people did. All the reasons that I'm Jacob are gone because the one who created me said, that's not who you are anymore. You are not the one who prevails through the flesh. You're the one who prevails through the power of God. This is what's so amazing to me, is that as soon as this happens, he gets his family and he starts walking. And the first person he sees, according to the word, coming down the path is Esau. The one he's running from, the one he's afraid of, the one he doesn't want to have to confront, the one he's been trying to pay off, the one he's been trying to do in his own strength to get rid of it, the one he's tried to, in the flesh, make this problem go away. I mean, come on, people, like there's so many people who have tried for so long to get rid of Esau in their life, and everywhere they've gone, it's followed them. And you've done good for a little while, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're back to where you were. And you try to work and you try to do it in your own strength and maybe you do it in a little bit, maybe you have some successes here and there, but at the end of the day, every single time that what I did in my own strength my strength begins to fade, I find myself right back where I was, alone, empty, in pain, broken. But now there's a truth that's come. That's changed all of that. And he sees Esau coming, and instead of scheming, quick, do we have any silver? Do we have any gold? How many men do we have? Where can we run? Where can we flee? Is there a disguise? Quick, make me look like a woman. All the things he's done his whole life, trying to cover up and disguise who he is. Trying to buy his way out, trying to connive and sneak and manipulate and get. He doesn't turn to any of them. It says he drops to his knees and he says, forgive me, brother. I've done wrong. Why? I'm not going to do it in my own strength anymore. I'm not Jacob. I'm not the schemer. I'm not the conniver. I'm not the manipulator. I'm not the one who gets what I have in my own strength, in my own flesh. I'm Israel. I'm the one who what I have comes by the power of God. And if this is the end, then this is the end. But I'm not going to run anymore. I'm not going to hide anymore. I'm not going to pretend anymore. And though it cost me everything, I'm done looking over my shoulder, worrying about yesterday, catching up with today. And Esau runs to him and hugs him. And there's forgiveness, and there's repentance, and there's restoration. I kept reading, and this was the most amazing thing to me. Look at this real quick. I want you to see it in your Bible. In chapter 33, verse 8, they get done hugging and making up and repenting and redeeming, and Esau looks at him and says, hey, what do you mean by all these animals I have met? Why? Because he's coming after Jacob, and Jacob keeps sending these gifts, thinking sooner or later I'll do something that'll make him change his mind, that'll make him change his heart. You know, here's the thing. Why was Jacob sending him all this livestock? Because it was the thing that Jacob valued. And when we value something, we think that's what everybody else wants. And so he's like, well, this is the thing that I value, so I'll send it to him, and he'll value it the way that I do. And eventually I'll send enough, and it'll buy my freedom. It'll buy his forgiveness. It'll change his mind. I can still do something. I can work this out. I can make it happen. I've got a plan. Come on, where did that all get you, Jacob? It got you standing alone, broken, empty, in pain. Forced to face who you are. He says, they're gifts so that I might find favor in the eyes of my Lord. But Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself. But Jacob said, no, I ask of you, if I found favor in your eyes, then receive my gift. For I see your face as one sees the face of God. You have received me with favor. Take my gift that has been brought to you. For God has shown me loving kindness, and I have all that I need. Here's the one who spent his whole life scheming, manipulating, planning to get blessed. And now the very thing that just a day before he would have given anything to have is offered to him for free. His brother says, hey, just you take all this stuff. And Jacob says, no. Israel says, no. Jacob would have taken that. But Israel doesn't need it. Because God has shown his love to me, and God has shown his kindness to me. I have everything I need. I don't need it. There was a time I thought I did. There was a time where I would have said, awesome, and figured out a way to not just take what you're offering, but what you weren't offering as well. But I'm not him anymore, because I met God. And I grabbed a hold of him, and he grabbed a hold of me. And even when it hurt, even when it was hard, and even when I could have, I didn't let go, and I didn't leave until I was changed. So I want you guys just to stand to your feet real quick, and I want to ask. Because here's the truth. You can hear the scriptures, and you can say, well, that's not who I am in Christ. I'm a new creation. You know, the truth of the matter is this. If you're born again in this room, and the Spirit of God has come to live inside of you and made you alive, you are not who you were. That is true. You are now the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus, and your spirit is holy, pure, upright, blameless, and beyond reproach. But there's some thinking that's still active, that's causing you to live less. That's why we're told to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And I'm telling you this, you can say, well, that's not who I am. Okay, how's that working? I'm not angry, seething with anger. I'm not bitter, choking on bitterness. I'm not jealous, absolutely eaten up with jealousy. I'm not insecure, absolutely so insecure you can't even imagine what it would be like to be secure. I'm not prideful, so full of pride that you can't even see it because you don't want to. I'm not this. I'm not selfish. I'm not angry. I'm not, I'm a truthful person. I don't lack integrity. All these things, you can say that stuff. You could even start quoting scripture. He gives me the oil of gladness and takes away the mourning and he turns the bitter into sweet, and you can say that stuff over and over again, and all of that stuff is true. But until you actually hear God say it to you and you believe it, it won't change anything. So I want to just know, because I felt like as I was getting ready this week, all week, I kept hearing this message come back into my mind. You're born again. If you're not, come see the prayer team afterwards. Surrender your life to Jesus. It's the most amazing thing you'll ever do. But here's the thing. What is it, if there is something that's followed you, that you just keep running from? This pattern. No matter what I do, no matter how I work, no matter how I connive, no matter how I scheme, no matter how I manipulate, no matter what other people do or don't do, no matter how much earthly blessing I get, no matter how much I get the thing that I thought I would need to be happy and to be fulfilled, every single time, at some point, I end up back in this place. And I feel like if that's true and there's something that's coming up as I've been preaching this and speaking this, would you just get before the Lord and be honest about it? You know what? I'm bitter. I'm bitter. No, that's not my identity in Christ. I'm just telling you, I have bitterness that I have tried to get rid of, and I can't. And I've done everything in the flesh. And I've grabbed a hold of everything that I thought in the natural would make me change. And here I am, bitter, jealous, insecure, angry, greedy, selfish, lustful, easily provoked, hard-hearted, impatient, whatever it is. Because here's the thing, I think God can work with that. Because I think God says, okay, now that you're ready to be honest and really be honest before me and not run when it's painful like you have every other time. Because how many of you know when God grabs a hold of us, sometimes there's pain. Sometimes it's painful. Sometimes it doesn't feel good when he starts saying, hey, you see this? Hey, this keeps popping up. Hey, you're doing it again. Sometimes that doesn't feel good and we want to numb it. We just want to numb the pain. We just want to find something to numb it, throw myself into this, throw myself into that, fill myself with this, fill myself with that, something to numb it. But here's the problem, is that numbing pain doesn't address the source of it. It just numbs it. And when the numbness wears off, the pain is still there. You can medicate it by going to church and doing things and religious activities and all those things that are good things. But if you're doing them in place of getting alone with him and being honest before him, I promise you, it's not going to change you. And eventually you'll end up right back in the same place, looking over your shoulder, and yesterday is becoming today again. And so I'm not going to pray a prayer right now because I don't think it's something that just a prayer fixes. I'm just going to ask you to please do this. Please. Don't turn off church when you walk out those doors. Today, tonight, this week, maybe a few times, get alone with him, like really alone with him. And just get before him. And grab onto him, grab onto his word, and just tell him, God, I'm bitter, I'm angry, whatever it is, that thing that you keep running from, and just tell him, say, you know what, I know that you paid the price, I know that you set me free, I know that it's finished, I know that I'm a new creation, but I'm just being honest, God, I'm bitter, I'm angry, I don't want to be, but I keep running from it, and I keep doing things in the natural to try to fix it, and nothing fixes it. God, I can't leave here until you change me. And then let him speak. Let him come and let him speak And all of a sudden, you'll hear him speak something to you that if you believe it, will change your life. And it won't just forgive what's been. It'll transform now so that the next time Esau's walking down the road, instead of doing what you've always done, you respond as the new creation, as the person you were meant to be who believes the truth that he spoke. So Father, I just pray for every person, whether they're in this room or watching online, God, that you would give them the courage, the grit, the tenacity, even starting with the desire to just grab a hold of you and wrestle with you. And when you touch something and it hurts, to not let go. And when the opportunity to walk away the same comes, to just say, no, I can't, I'm not letting go. I can't leave the way that I came. I can't live another day as Jacob. I can't hide. I can't run. I can't live with this stress, with this anxiety, with this depression, with this anger, with this bitterness, with this unforgiveness, with this jealousy, with this insecurity, whatever it is. I can't live like this anymore. I'm tired of always being back here. I never want to be back here again. So God, I'm not leaving. I can't let go, and I'm not letting go of you. I'm not leaving the way that I came. God, you have to speak. And you have to tell me. Because I'm telling you, this is where I'm at. I need you to tell me who I am. I need you to speak truth into my life. And I'll believe it. And I'll be changed. But I'm not leaving the way that I came. I thank you for that in Jesus' name. Amen.